All right, we are set up. Hey guys, happy Saturday. Thanks for being here. This is our second Clarity session. We are recording it on Zoom for you, and I'll make sure it's in the Facebook group. I'll categorize it in the guide. So I just want to give you a quick warm welcome. Some of you know who Lori and I are. Some of you are just joining us. There's a lot of you that are just joining us in the Maintain for Life group. And just a quick introduction to what this is and who we are and why you're here and all that good stuff. My name is Maya. I'm a registered dietitian by trade, founded a company called Nuaria, created the Nuaria method. My whole life I've been learning for myself. And as I learn what works and apply it in my life to create the change that I was looking for, sustainable weight loss in a way that wasn't lose and gain. And, over the years, I became a registered dietitian and I learned cognitive behavioral therapy and neuroplasticity, all this stuff to learn how do I make the choices that I want to make in my life. I even started doing some work with the American Institute of Stress, and I was always looking for a better way. I was that person who knew what to do, but just wasn't doing it. And when I did do it, my efforts were very all or nothing, all in, all out, 0%, 100%, pizza and cake, carrots and celery, right? If you're new, you're here because you found the pizza and carrot method training, which essentially just combines the both and introduces us to that world of 50%. The people that are here, that are gathered here, we are here because we know what to do. We want to lose some weight. We've already been down this road. We've probably spent a lot of time and a lot of money trying a lot of things. And you're really smart and knowledgeable. I think I mentioned to a couple of you, I came across this term just last week from my coach and mentor. He called it educational mediocrity, where you just continue to learn and learn, but there's no integration, application, realization of those components to make it real into your life. So there's very little knowledge here and more, how do I start learning how to do things differently? And my whole life, I was always in search of that. And as I was learning, I was applying, and then I was teaching. And I've come to this kind of culmination point in my life. Nuaria has been around for 14 years, and now is the time to, we've changed our models over the years, and now is really the time to grow the community. It's why you're here for, like, when you got the pizza and carrot method training, it was only $7. I had some emails of people who never joined us, and they're like, $7, I can't trust that. For those of you that know me, I mean, I'm not pulling anything funny on you. It's just time to move forward. And I think the world we've arrived at a place where the 21st century, when it comes to weight loss, like, a lot of us have been through Weight Watchers. We've done all of the things, and life has just teed us up perfectly to come to this place where we have the opportunity for a new kind of education. And that is in strategic behavior change. It's in learning how to think differently in order to do differently to get a permanent result. And so today I have with me Lori Muntry. She runs the Freedom by Nuaria piece. And the Freedom by Nuaria piece is, as we work in weight loss, there's a whole sector where we have binge eaters, emotional eaters, food addiction, which we're going to talk about today. And I certainly have been down that road in my life. And she's trained with me in the Nuaria method for over 3 years now. And she has developed a couple programs in this area and works more deeply in that area where I work as a dietitian, more on the stress side and those kinds of things. So to give you a high-level overview of what this is and what we'll be doing today, this is a clarity session. For those of you that are new in the Maintain for Life group, I'm listening to you in terms of what are the things you're needing and wanting to go deeper on in order to achieve sustainable and permanent weight loss without a diet, without any more yo-yo. You have the high-level overview of the pizza and carrot method training. You have the high-level overview that says, I understand that it's my thinking more than my doing. And my doing I'm learning how to do differently through stepping stones and change my thinking in that process. Make sure you go watch the very, very first clarity session. I sent it out to you in a recording. It's on my YouTube channel, and in our Facebook group, it's under the guide section. It's on how we create change fast and why we get stuck, and how to start again without failing again. It's a fantastic first place to start. This week in the clarity session, all of the ancillary adjunct kind of life areas that are going to support you in accomplishing what you're here to accomplish, or the clarity sessions. They're for complimentary to you and free to you. We'll be here probably twice, I don't know, twice a month or something like that. Lori is going to go into food addiction and emotional eating today. In the next couple weeks, I'm going to start going into negative thinking and stress. So those are the clarity sessions, and there's so much good new momentum for new people. So that's why I'm giving you the high level overview. Here's the last thing I want to mention to you, and I'm really excited about it, is there is going to be a new mini program. It's called How to Start Again Without Failing Again. And it's absolutely the next step that you need in order to be successful. Now, because of what we're doing in terms of just working to reach more people, we want to make everything super incredibly accessible to you. So that program, if you are here and you invested in the extended training, which a lot of you did, you're just going to get it. If you're a current client of Lori's or mine, you're just going to get it. There's no charge for it. Otherwise, it's $40. So for those of you that invested in the $7 pizza and carrot method training, the high level overview, and you've joined the group, there's so much that you can start on. If you want to add it on, it's $40. Look, if you need a payment plan for that, I'll work out a payment plan for you. I just want you to get started, because the Stepping Stone program, How to Start Again Without Failing Again, is the next step. And then from there, we're going to start group support, $25 a month. That's nothing. So it's like your gym membership. So I really want to give you all of the tools that you need to get started and start your stepping stones, be able to harness the power of a group for strategy work and thought habit change work, so you can get this ball moving just like you can your gym membership, since you've already done so many things, and this be the last effort to accomplish sustainable permanent weight loss without any more dieting. So that's an overview. There's a lot going on, which we're excited about. So if you're new here, welcome. This is our second clarity session, and I will stop and Lori will take the floor here. So as I mentioned, this is Lori. She's we've known each other for probably 3 years now, and she's for those of you that already know Lori, she has the biggest heart on the planet. You're just an amazing woman. You have blown me away, Lori, in your ability to just ebb and flow with life and the changes with Nuaria and how you take care of your clients. And Lori would do everything she would do for free if she could. So there is no better person on the face of this planet that I have met to be able to move more deeply into combining the Nuaria methodology, learning how to think differently, to do differently with emotional eating. And she's diving into the area of trauma around this too. So I'm excited to see what's coming out about that. And so today, Lori is going to dive into, we're specifically going to talk more about food addiction, kind of reframe how to think about food addiction. And then she's going to go into the 5 things that are really going on, the 5 patterns that are really going on behind that, and how to think about those differently. And then we have a complimentary webinar or masterclass, that's coming out if you want to go deeper on that. So Lori, that was a long-winded welcome. I want to bring everybody up to speed, but take it away.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And you're right, though. I really would do this for free if I didn't need to eat, because it does bring me so much joy. So I'm really happy to be here, and I appreciate everybody who's on right now, who's going to watch the recording, and just for the opportunity to do that and to spend time with you. So yeah, a lot of people come to us because they consider themselves to be addicted to food or food addicts. And so today we wanted to have a really real conversation about food addiction. And I'll just start by saying, I don't think that we can be addicted to something that is essential for our life, essential for us to live, right? So I think that the mindset that I'm a food addict or I'm addicted to food is actually unhelpful when it comes to figuring out what the real reasons are, why I have unwanted food patterns, that the kind of the stigma or the mindset around food addiction is this is a problem. I have a problem. I have to learn how to control myself. It's something I'm going to have to manage for the rest of my life. You know, that once an addict, always an addict kind of thinking. And I really do believe that all of that is unhelpful when it comes to meeting our challenges. But I 100% get what you mean when you say, I'm addicted to food. I feel like a food addict. There were decades of my life where I was convinced, hardcore, 100% convinced that I was a hopeless food addict. So I get what you mean. You mean that you eat when you're not hungry. You eat beyond the point of feeling satisfied. You eat foods that are not tolerated well by your body and that are inconsistent with your health and weight goals. So I fully understand why someone would say, I'm addicted to food. So today I want to suggest that there are 5 other reasons why we have unwanted patterns with food that really are not related to being a food addict. So today I'm going to go over those 5 reasons why we have these behaviors, and then give you a really high level overview of how we solve them. And this is going to be the topic of the masterclass that Maya mentioned. So today we're just going to kind of brush over the surface, and then the masterclass we're going to go a lot deeper and provide more understanding about these 5 areas, and especially dive into to overcome those unwanted patterns. So the first one that I want to talk about is addictive substances in our food supply. So our modern food supply is full of incredibly addicting substances. The food industry is constantly churning out highly processed, highly palatable food substances that mess with our brain chemistry, our health, our weight, our hormones. And this is one of the reasons why we struggle to make choices with food that we know will serve us. These chemicals, once they're regular in our bodies, it becomes very hard to make choices that support our goals when we're having these cravings and even withdrawal symptoms when we're not eating them regularly. So I don't believe that you can be addicted to food, but I do think that a lot of the substances in our food supply is making it hard to make decisions that feel right. So that is definitely one of the reasons why we struggle with food. The second reason is our thinking. So even if you're new to Noria, you know that most of the work that we do is centered around helping people understand that your behavior stems from your thoughts. So if you have unwanted behavior with food, you have some thoughts that are creating that behavior and supporting that behavior. So it's important to understand that and try to figure out, what are those thoughts that are causing me to have the behavior that I'm consistently engaging in. And there, everybody has a different set of thoughts, of course, but there are some really common patterns. Probably the most common is that infamous all or nothing mindset that I know that you've talked about here in this group so much. And that's just, if I'm going to lose weight, it has to be hard, has to be super restrictive, and I have to go all in, and thoughts that are, similar to that. And of course, that mindset fails 100% of the time. So other kinds of thoughts, if you're thinking, this is just who I am. I'm just heavy. I'll just always struggle with my weight. I can't control myself with food. I don't stick with things. I don't do the hard stuff. Like if that's your pattern of thinking, then you're going to experience the corresponding emotions, pessimism, despair, disappointment. You're going to lack self-confidence. And a person that is experiencing those emotions is going to have a really hard time taking the action that's consistent with their goals. So thinking is a really big one when it comes to our patterns, not only with food, but in everything that we do. The third reason we have unwanted food patterns is emotional eating. And emotional eating is incredibly common. And it's just, simply using food, reaching for food when you're not really hungry or overeating in response to an emotion that you're experiencing. For example, a person may eat when they're feeling stressed, bored, lonely, when they don't want to do something, when they're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, angry. And it's really hard to control this type of eating if you're not becoming aware of what the emotion, what kind of need the emotion is pointing you towards. And I'll also say that sometimes people say, well, I'm not an emotional eater. I don't think I eat emotionally. I don't really feel angry or stressed or lonely or sad, etc. And a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times what's happening is the person has become so adept over the years at pushing down their emotions with food that they're able to just disconnect from those emotions and turn to the food right away before they even have the recognition that they're experiencing those emotions. So I just bring that up because it is not an uncommon experience at all. The fourth reason we have unwanted food patterns is what I call gap filling. And that, just like it sounds, it is literally filling the gaps in your life with food. For example, you want companionship, but you settle for Ben and Jerry. You want excitement, but you settle for spicy Thai noodles. You want a fulfilling job, but you settle for a large pizza. You get the idea here. It's literally asking food to fill in what you're missing in your life. And, you know, it's very, very similar to emotional eating, but I differentiate it because sometimes people can see themselves better in one situation or the other. It's just more obvious what's going on. And the fifth reason we have unwanted behavior with food is habit. And that is both the habits that don't serve us, right? And needing to break those, and also needing to build the habits that do serve us. So for example, you know, you may have the habit of, I always stop at this fast food restaurant every Friday on my way home from work after a long work week. Or you may have the habit of always having drinks and when you go out to a restaurant, or eating ice cream every night while you watch TV, right? And the kinds of habits that would serve you, like planning your food, making food prep a little more easy and doable, drinking your water, taking your supplements, spending time on your internal world, on your inner world, so that you can know what's going on for you, know what your thoughts are, and feel connected to your emotions. All of those are the kind of habits that you want to build. And when you have too many habits that don't serve you and not enough habits that do, then obviously this is keeping you away from the goals that you have. So these are the 5 reasons. And I really want to emphasize too that it's never really about one, right? These are, for most of us, it's a combination of all of these things. For some, one might be more important than another, but it's really a combination, and working on all of these things at once is what helps you to be able to have all the tools and all of the necessary resources to be able to switch out of these patterns. And so now I'd like to just kind of go over a little bit about how do we solve these, okay? So now I've identified these 5 reasons, but what do we do about them? So I'll go through each one of them very briefly. And again, in the masterclass, I'm going to give you, I've got some handouts prepared for you. I've got a lot of more practical things that you can take away and start using. But today I just want to start the conversation and just encourage you that whether you find yourself in any or all of these unwanted patterns, there's definitely a way to work through them and break out the other side.
I'd love to, for those of you who are watching live on Zoom and Facebook, and even the recording, if you're in the Facebook group or watching it on our YouTube channels, let us know what you resonate most with in terms of the 5 things that are really going on. So the first one is addictive food supply, thinking, like all or nothing thinking, emotional eating, gap filling, and just general habits. And you could obviously relate to more of them, but I'd love to hear where do you guys fall?
Yeah. And any questions too, like if there's you know, anybody needs some clarity or wondering what anything that I said, definitely we'll be watching for the questions and answering them. So how do we overcome these challenges? I'll start with the addictive substances.
Let me make sure it pulls up over here. Sorry.
Really, the only way to deal with that is to simply remove those substances from your diet for a period of time. That doesn't mean forever. It just means to give your body and your brain a chance to heal. And then after that, you can methodically reintroduce these foods back into your diet in an amount that where you can not feel the intense cravings and help you reach your goal. So it's not a matter of, you know, all these foods have to be cut out from your diet for the rest of your life. It's really something that we work with people pretty closely to make sure that they understand and find that right balance that's right for them in all respects. And I really want to mention here with respect to taking the foods out, this is not something that you should expect yourself to just jump in and do. The other 4 things that I mentioned are probably much more important, really, and developing that healthy relationship with food. And it's better, in my opinion, to get some tools under your belt to really understand what's going on for you, and then try to work on the detox part. For a lot of people, not everybody. Some people do great with it, and that's awesome too. But just for example, in my Freedom Program, I don't even start talking about the detox until we're into it a little bit, and people have had the chance to develop some awareness and some tools, you know, and building those habits that make it so much easier. There are ways to ease into it and tools and things so that it really doesn't feel like, you know, this intensive time of, you know, struggle, because the last thing you need is to jump in and try something like that again and then have it not work out, or, you know, do it for the 30 days and then come out of it and go back to all your old ways. So that is definitely not what we're suggesting here. It's not jumping on something and doing that. There are ways to go about it that make it a lot easier and something that you can carry forward afterwards, instead of just a 30-day and then, you know, the rest of my life after that.
Yeah,
So
that's really terrifying for people in the beginning when you hear it as the first one. Yeah.
And if you think about it, you know, here I am depending on food to help me with regulate my emotions, to help me fill the gaps in my life. And do you take that away? And it is, how am I going to function? And that's why, you know, we keep trying to push and jump back into that detox again and jump back in. I keep failing. And you're not failing. You just need the rest of the support first, or alongside those kinds of efforts, in order to be successful. So that's so important. You know, it really is. So I'm glad we had a chance to bring that up. With respect to overcoming those thought patterns, you know, it's a very simple process, maybe not easy. It takes some effort, some consistency in your life, but it's just, you know, identifying, what are my thought patterns? What are my thoughts that are holding me back? How do I stop those? And how do I re-engineer them to be consistent with the goals that I want? And overcoming emotional eating, you know, this one, it requires getting to know your emotions, understanding them a little bit better, and learning how to process them in ways that don't involve food. And I know there's a lot that goes into that process, but it is entirely possible for you and anyone else to not think about food unless you're truly hungry, to stop eating when you feel satisfied, and to deal with being stressed, tired, overwhelmed, angry, all the range of emotions without needing to turn to food. With respect to, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going. No. I was just gonna add, all of these things as you're talking, Lori, this is really, this came up with a client the other day, and it's sometimes the mind, it's resistance in the mind, and it will say, oh, that's really nice, and I've tried that, or my situation is unique and I can't do that. And because these are really important and meaningful steps that can be taken and can be achieved successfully. And it's having the understanding that you can only think the way you think right now. And in this process and in this journey of transformation, you are becoming a different person, which I could argue is the person that you really are. And so when you hear these things, sometimes if you hear them with the frame of mind, like you are the person that you are now, the resistance in the mind will automatically pop up because it's already been a habit. which obviously falls under what I'm talking about. So as we continue to listen, it's important to that, knowing that you're thinking like the person you are now, not like the person you're becoming. And those two ears are very, very different. So even if these are things like I've tried that, or I've done that, or I've practiced that and it didn't work for me, it's just the brain resistance, and you're thinking like the person you are now. So I just wanted to mention that as you continue to develop, because these are really important topics. But I think the brain shuts off from listening sometimes when we hear it, when we think we've heard it before.
Yeah, totally. Actually, Maya, I just on the Freedom Victory interview that I did yesterday, which is just, we want to celebrate transformation. And so the beautiful woman, the graduate of the Freedom Program that I had on yesterday, was talking about just this. She was just like, wait a minute, I don't see how this is going to happen. I don't see how, and then her willingness to just kind of trust the process and do what was right in front of her, not worry about the big picture, not worry about, who am I going to be at the end? How is it all going to work out? Just taking that one step, that's right in front of you. And so it was really, really beautiful to not only hear your description of it, but just reminded me of my conversation with her yesterday. And that is up in the on YouTube, Nourishing Wisdom Weight Loss YouTube. So anybody who's thinking that to themselves, like, yeah, but my story is different, but I have, these other things to overcome, or I've been at it longer, or whatever it is, I would encourage them to go and watch that beautiful story of this woman who talks about this very thing, how it played out in her life and how she overcame it. So I think
the Freedom Victories, I'll post more of these things. I want to put them up on a New Aria YouTube, because I want to post some of our other testimonies. But just for the brain, for purposes of the brain, those are the three things when they teach you marketing. Those are the three things they teach you in marketing, is that when you are, it is human nature that you must overcome. Will this work? Will this work for me? But I'm different in this way, so will it work for me in this way? Those are always the three that they ask you to overcome in marketing, right? Because that is what happens in the human psychology for all of us. So just know that when you have that question come up, it's because it comes up for everyone. It's really interesting, but continue on.
It is. And I love how one of the things I love about New Aria is that we really address that all along the way. Like, you can't just skip over that part, because in the person's mind, they're struggling with it every day. So it's got to be something that is, built in. And so I really appreciate that we get to help people through that, and that they can recognize, oh, it's just my old brain talking, I don't need to listen to that. So it's really powerful. I think it makes the difference between, being able to stick around and not. So it's important, like you said.
It's like I'm staying on track. I'm just derailing because it's such an important point. It's just such an important point. I'm not as, Lori you have a very just gentle and loving way about life, and something I can learn from for sure. And I'm a little bit more like this in my life, but I tend to call like that thing in my brain, because you hear it, it's like, oh, that's just my inner asshole. And but really it's just the old brain that's listening to, and I'm sure, Lori, you can agree, it's no matter where you're at, when you're here with us in this group, the most important thing that you could ever integrate into your life is the knowing that you are not the program, that you're in control of the program, that you are not your thinking, that you are in control of your thinking. And if you get that intellectually and knowledge, great, at least we planted the seed. But the moment that you realize that, we're not trying to shoo away like the thoughts and the programs and like all this is bad, it's going to be there, but you don't have to follow it. It doesn't have to lead you or guide you, or you have to become it. Like the moment you get that, everything changes.
Yeah, totally. I always talk about it, your thoughts are going to come, but you just, they come in the front door, you open the back door, you don't sit down and have tea with them. You just like allow them to pass through, and, you can notice them, thanks, and it's a safety mechanism, really. And when you understand that it's just there trying to protect you. And but like you said, when you notice, that's not me, I'm not my thoughts, I'm the one back here who knows better. And yeah, you're right. When you get that, then you realize you're so empowered. You realize who you really are,
Yes.
and then you can take those, but it's consistent work. It's every day, because the thoughts will continue to come in the front door. So it's, it's learning how to gently escort them out.
Mhm,
Yeah.
This is personal growth through weight loss. If we let it, all of us that have gathered here, whether it be emotional eating, food addiction, weight loss, all or nothing thinking, this can be the most transformational experience of your life if you allow it to be, because it's not about the weight. The weight will come off. It's inevitable because it's who you are. We have all, Lori and I included, have been gifted an opportunity to change our life through this struggle. And if you allow it to be that way, your entire life will transform in the most magical ways that you could have ever dreamed possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I love watching and hearing the women in the Freedom Victories, because that's what they're talking about. They're talking about the ways that their lives are totally different. Yeah, their bodies are changing, but their lives are different. And so it's more about what you gain than about, the weight you lose. So yeah.
Okay, it's official. I'm going to start the Nuaria YouTube channel just for all of the transformations, and then what Lori and I are continuing to build. So back
So
to it. I derailed us. Where were we?
yeah,
Which
so
number?
we're talking about the fourth reason why we have unwanted food patterns, which the solution for that, which is filling the gaps in your life. And here, the solution is pretty obvious. You need to identify what you're asking the food to do for you, in what way the food is filling the gap in your life, and then make some meaningful steps towards filling that in ways that are non-food related. But I really, really want to stress a point here, and I don't want to be misunderstood. So please hear me. I'm not saying that you have to fix your whole life, or that your life has to become, in every way fulfilling in order for you to shift out of unwanted food patterns. That is 1,000% not what I'm saying. You can keep your old everything about it and still be able to shift out of old food patterns. But our food patterns are identifying places in our lives where we need to pay attention. So when we kind of are woken up to that and given the opportunity to say, wow, I really do want companionship. What am I going to do about it? Keep eating, keep hanging out with Ben and Jerry, or, do something else. So you absolutely don't need to create the life of your dreams in order to stop using food to fill the gaps. But it is helpful to start becoming aware of what you're doing, and, start thinking about, how could I take care of myself better? How could I provide for my needs? And then the last reason that we talked about today was habits. And, this is what a lot of your work so far has been about: building those habits that are going to serve you, and ending the habits that don't. And that is, we've got the Nuaria habit building breaking formula, which is built into everything that we do, because it's so important to work with your brain rather than against it, to never, push past the resistance. We rub up against it and push it, nudge it kind of gently along, as opposed to just trying to barrel our way through, which never works. So using your stepping stones that are so important, that you talked about last week, and we'll continue to talk about going forward, to do just that, one step at a time, building and breaking habits. And that's how we undo those things, both habits of behavior and actual physical habits, and also habits of emotion and thought as well. So again, those are the 5 reasons why we have unwanted food patterns and how we overcome them. And I know this was, high level, but we've got the masterclass coming up that's going to dive a little deeper and give you some worksheets and some real practical tools for taking each of these and just starting, seeing which areas you need the most help in.
Yeah. Thanks, Lori. Let's unpack a few things, because I see Liza's question, and Liza, we'll get to she said, can you touch a bit more on the all or nothing thinking? Yep. And I want to talk a little bit, I want to dive a little bit more into, because I really agree with and appreciate the difference between like the food addiction versus emotional eating. I want to get really, really clear on those, so everyone here kind of walks away on. So let's start there, and Liza, I'll get to you, and we'll get to you in just a second. I want to deepen and solidify the point. Talk to us, Lori, in food addiction, emotional eating.
Yeah. So food addiction, again, I think it's kind of the way we use it is kind of a catch-all phrase for I feel driven to eat in ways that feel outside of my control. And that is why, people will say, and we associate that's kind of like addiction. And what I'm saying is that these are your, often when we talk about emotional eating anyway, you don't have the tools to deal with your emotions in any other way right now. And so food is helping you do that. Food is helping you cope. Food is calming your brain, giving you what you need to get through those emotional periods. But that's not an addiction in the sense that, I can't control myself, because when you step back and are able to look at your emotions, see what's happening, become aware of your patterns, see what's happening, learn to welcome in your emotions, learn how to, first of all, feel safe in them. Then in those moments, there's ways for us to start to choose something different. For many of us, the emotional eating started as children. And so our brains are just, habituated towards that behavior. The brain thinks it's automated this for us to help us. It thinks that it's doing us a favor by going straight to the food, because we taught it, your emotions are unsafe. And so every time we're in that space of being unsafe, we're going to turn to the food because we've done that so many times. So when we talk about emotional eating and overcoming emotional eating, what we're really talking about is realizing, just like we're not our thoughts, we're not our emotions. So we can be with that emotion. We can be stressed. We can be overwhelmed or anxious or angry and still feel safe. For most people, they have a couple of emotions where they can experience them without food. And that's really great because it shows them, look, you can feel happy. You don't need to run to food. A lot of people say, well, I don't really eat when I'm sad. I eat when I'm angry or something like that. But they can learn how to sit with anger the same way they sit with sadness. Or it's just a matter of, developing those tools and the awareness and, seeing what's going on in the brain, and then using the knowledge that we have about neuroplasticity, about wiggling in that space and feeling safe in the midst of the emotions. And of course, as we work on thoughts, we get to experience less of the undesired emotions because they're just not there anymore as we work on our thinking as well. So it's a double-ended approach, I guess you'd say. We have fewer unwanted emotions and we know how to sit with them. And when we do that, we don't think of food. We're not trying to control ourselves like we are with an addiction where we're thinking, I really want to drink. I really want to drink. We're not thinking about the food. We're not thinking, I really want the food, because we've learned to deal with the emotions, so there's no need for it. And I think that's one of the big
it's like yes, it's like could we like food addiction over here? You could you could pop it out and say like what's really going on with food addiction. Exactly what we talked about today is like, okay, what is food addiction? So food supply, the addictive food supply, addictive stuff in the food, thinking, like all or nothing thinking, emotional eating, gut filling, habits, all of these contribute to a sense that of food addiction. And that's why some people could say I'm addicted to food, but I'm not necessarily an emotional eater. I don't resonate with that because I could be filling the gaps, or it could be a habit, or I could be addicted to an addictive substance in the food. But then emotional eating could feel like a part of food addiction.
Yeah, totally.
It's
Yeah.
like here,
yeah.
Got it. So Liza, one of the five things, so to speak, that's really going on with food addiction, which this is why these two are separate things. As Lori mentioned, and the reason all of us are here in Maintain for Life group is this sense of all or nothing thinking. And I'll just preface with the fact that I've been a dietitian for 12 years and coaching for 14. All or nothing thinking is hands down the number one saboteur of sustainable permanent change and weight loss. I have seen it for years, and it's actually only getting worse because sometimes we just know too much, and that's paralyzing in itself. Sometimes we have too much food education, right and wrong, et cetera, and so on. Or we have had so many failed past attempts that have built up a evidence base of failure that that's what our brain refers back to. And all or nothing is it's a habituation, a pattern, or a habit of the mind that is all in, all out. Pizza and cake, carrots and celery, 0%, 100%. And I don't care what the addiction is, so to speak, but being 50% about your life is far more difficult than 0 and 100. Yet 50% is sustainability. And we're not living in a time in our world where we are taught that 50% is okay and enough. We're in the age of Instagram, where you have 10-second videos and then you flip to another one. Nobody can read an article anymore. It's just what we're priming ourselves to be. So Lori, what do you want to add to this, to all or nothing thinking for Liza?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. It sets us up to try to, starting Monday, I'm going to overhaul my whole life. And, we keep making that same attempt Monday after Monday. And, Friday after Friday, we're struggling again. And that is really, like you said, it's the biggest stumbling block in our thinking. So that kind of sums it up. And it's not just limited to food. It certainly we be that way in all kinds of areas of our life. So as we learn, like you said, as we learn to overcome that with food, then we start to see all kinds of other areas where we were being all or nothing. And it's a beautiful place to live, that 50, or whatever it is there for, any given individual, that balance that we find.
Yeah. And all or nothing thinking is one of many, what in psychology they call them cognitive distortions. One of many cognitive distortions. We just call them here at New Aria like habits of the mind. They're just habits. And when you think of them as an easy habit, well, we can change habits. Habits are changeable. They're within our control. And those are things from like perfectionism, catastrophic thinking, obsessive thinking, overthinking, trying to control things we can't control. All or nothing is another habit of the mind. And as Lori mentioned, it's here for us. It's like, change. I always joke with people. It's like you change 998 things about your life on Monday and you fall into chocolate cake by Friday. So what I will say is that practicing 50%, in my experience and in experience of the clients that I've had over this many years, practicing 50%, once again, it's never about the food. It's about finding the joy in the accomplishment and taking the small step and recognizing that small step is enough. And then when I recognize that small step is enough and I actually take it and I see that as a win, then I am seeing my success. In order to recognize a small step as a win, in order to actually take action on the small step, that is a recognition of the self to understand that I am enough because that small step is enough. That is a recognition that there is joy in the becoming. And so there is, it's never about the small step. I challenge, this is what the Stepping Stone program for you does, which Liza, you will get. It helps you to take the small step because it's never about the small step. The challenge is when you fall down, and that's when we can look at everything that's behind the step that itself.
Yeah, and it's really that realization that this is the fastest thing you will ever do. Because, for most of the people, by the time they find us, they've been doing this for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And they say, but the stepping stone, it won't get me there fast enough.
Right.
Pretty sure we're going to do better than 40 years. Right. So it really is. It's the fastest way there. And when you're ready to accept that, then.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Lori, I know you got to get going. I don't see any other questions over in any of these places. This was, as a reminder, this was a clarity session for our group, for the Maintain for Life group. Liza, thank you for being here. We love you very much. She said, thank you, wise and wonderful teachers. Takes a teacher to know a teacher, my friend. So for those of you, like I said, Lori runs as part of Nuaria, the Freedom by Nuaria, which runs our is the Freedom program, and she created an Align with Your Purpose program, which is another life module. So if you're new, don't worry about any of those things yet. I just want to introduce you to Lori and know that this is an option should you face this as a challenge when you go to create sustainable change in the area of weight loss in your life, that we can help you with that. If you're in the Freedom by Nuaria group with Lori too, the Maintain for Life group is open for you as well. Lori has we're working on it now. She has a new masterclass that's coming out. The masterclass is, I'm going to read it straight from what you told me. The 5 reasons we have unwanted food patterns. And it's going to go much deeper into what we just learned today, an expansion in the masterclass. And she's got worksheets for you to work through and that good stuff. It's complimentary to you. And if this is your area that you want to work more on, I will absolutely email you as soon as that comes out, and you can sign up for the masterclass and get in there too. So that's all you need to know. Our next clarity sessions for you are going to be in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to dive into stress, negative thinking, and some of the mental and emotional wellness areas. And again, for those of you who either just joined us or are watching, I'm really excited. Thank you for being here. As we grow the Maintain for Life group and what we're doing at Nuaria, it's truly going to be, it's sustainable weight loss without a diet. And we're going to, the new Stepping Stone program that's coming out is just going to be $40. For those of you that are already a client, whether it's with Lori or myself, we're just going to give it to you. If you already invested in the extended pizza and carrot training, I'm just going to give it to you. So if you are joining us and you just invested in the $7, you'll need to add that on. And then we're going to start groups so you can get deeper in the strategy and understand where you're faltering. It's only going to be $25 a month. We want to make it super accessible and reach more people. So thank you guys for being here. We have some exciting things coming up. So just stay tuned, stay connected, watch your emails, and please reach out to Lori and I if there's anything that we can do to support you. Thanks, Lori.
Definitely. Thank you guys. Thanks everybody for coming and watching, and we'll see you soon.
Have a great Saturday, everybody. Bye.